All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our Curt Hennig slash Mr. Perfect series. This is going to be Curt Hennig in WCW. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, man. Let's go ahead and get into this. His WCW career spanned from 1997 to 2000. Thank God he jumped ship before the boat officially
Right.
sank.
Yeah, I think we
But
covered. Sorry to cut you off. I think we covered in the last episode what happened towards the end of that WWE thing where he left them and he just went to WCW mid like not mid
yeah, the
contract, but like at the end of his contract, he was renegotiating, but ends up going to WCW.
the whole Lloyd's of London.
Yeah, that whole
This
fiasco.
one's
Yeah.
lying about this
hmm
part.
Who the hell
The
knows?
whole fiasco. So where better to go at the prime of the Monday Night Wars
Oh,
and people jumping ship than to see Curt Hennig
the
go
only
into WCW.
The only problem is he went there as Curt Hennig and not as Mr. Perfect.
Unfortunately, yeah, and that not only does it
It
mess with
hurt him. It
his
hurt him.
gimmick, it messes with his finishing move, and I'll get to that in a
The
little
Henning
bit.
Plex?
Yeah, don't make
Doesn't sound.
no, don't sound like that. Now, Kurt signed with WCW mid-year through 1997. He competed there unfortunately, like we just said, under his real name, Curt Hennig, due to the ring name Mr. Perfect, trademarked by WWE. But that's
hmm
all right. Curt Hennig had most of his success under his real name, as we've told in previous episodes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can look at it that way, yeah, I understand at the highest level, but he's remembered as an IC champion. When you say Mr. Perfect, you can't.
If you see him,
It's
that's what we're calling him.
yeah,
It's hey, that's
right,
Mr.
right,
Perfect
right. And he showed up the end of a Nitro. I remember he came out totally at the
on
end of the Nitro.
yep June 30th on Nitro. Henning debuted as a fan favorite during a
hmm
brawl,
hmm
which erupted after
And
the
what
main
happened?
event.
We gotta
Sting,
go,
we gotta
ladies and
go.
ladies and gentlemen. We're out of time. We,
Soon as Sting comes from the rafters, we gotta go.
yeah.
Oh my God, it's Sting. We gotta
Dude,
go.
I was so excited to see him in WCW, man, because I really thought we spoke about it in the last episode. We thought he was gonna fight Triple H or Hunter S. Helmsley at the time. So
Yeah.
we were happy to see him back in the ring, but we'll get into it in the episode. Go ahead. There's some disappointment. I'll just put it that way, and we'll get into it.
You say it now. It don't matter.
Well, no, I'm just saying that the fact that he wasn't allowed to use the Mr. Perfect moniker, the fact that he goes into the NWO rather than into the Horsemen, which I think he was better suited, but we're gonna get into that.
Yeah. Now the whole brawl that erupted was a main event involving
hmm
Diamond Dallas Page, Lex Luger, and the Giant
Yeah, because
versus Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I think DDP needed a tag partner, right? I think after that, there was like a pay-per-view that was, I think, after that, or
Yeah.
DDP needs a tag partner.
Now Henning made his entrance the same time as Raven did,
Yes, yeah,
which I wouldn't have done that considering it takes away from both of
it
them.
does, yeah. Oh, why would you do that? WCW, man.
Yeah, I know. Hey, and by the way, the match ended in a no contest. Go figure.
Well, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen.
So his first official match was at Bash at the Beach in July, where Diamond Dallas Page had a mystery partner
Right, and it was.
against Scott Hall and the
Mhm.
Macho Man Randy Savage. Unfortunately, Henning turned on Page, costing them the match. Damn,
Damn it.
like I didn't see that coming. He's known for that. People, he just did that before he left WWE. As a result, Curt Hennig then began his first official feud in WCW with Diamond Dallas Page. Meanwhile, Page has already got one that's going to monument his career to the next level with Randy Savage. So on August 9th at Road Wild, Hennig defeated the Diamond Dallas Page. During his tenure in WCW, Hennig continued to use the Fisherman Suplex, which we all know to be the Perfect Plex. However, he renamed it the
Iron
Henningplex.
Flex, yeah.
They didn't put a whole lot of thought into this process. I
Mhm.
mean, I think they just we'll use your last name and call it
Yeah, I mean, what is he gonna call it?
something. Come up with something. I mean, it's like they're just settling and we're like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately
But
with the copyright, WWF owned the copyright. It's what it is.
exactly, it sucks. But what are you gonna do? Now, shortly after his debut, he became a top favorite of both not only the Four Horsemen but the NWO. I mean, and they're at this point they're literally taking everybody. Both factions attempted to recruit him.
Hmm.
This was hilarious. Now, on August 21st, at the Clash of the Champions, it was number 35. And it was actually, that was the last one, too.
Yeah, we reviewed it. Yeah.
Hennig teamed with Ric Flair, and they defeated Conan and Six
All right.
from the NWO. After the match, both Mean Gene and Ric Flair asked him if he was a horseman, and Hennig just says, no. But we had a good match, Rick, but no.
Right, because this was an ongoing thing on Nitro where he was with Flair, and he's like, I haven't given you an answer, like,
Exactly. He's dragging it out.
yeah.
So Hennig teamed with Flair several times,
Hmm. They were a good
defeating.
team.
Oh yeah, they were.
Remember, he was his advisor,
Yep.
WWF.
So and they defeated teams such as Mortis and Wrath. Not really saying much on that one. Conan and Six. Not really saying much on that. And Buff Bagwell and Conan. Wow, Conan just can't get a victory here. Which they were victorious in every one of them.
Hmm.
So why aren't they number one contenders for the tag titles? On the August 25th edition of Nitro, Arn Anderson had to officially retire from wrestling due to
Yep.
injury. He offered his spot
Yeah.
to Curt Hennig.
This is great.
Awesome. Hennig replied to Anderson by saying it would be a privilege.
Yeah.
Of course, the NWO is going to
Spoof
that, not only spoof it, but kind of change the wording a little bit.
Hmm.
Now, the following week on Nitro is when the NWO made a mockery of Anderson's plea that Hennig take his spot.
Buff Daddy played Henning. It was great. It was great, man.
You got Kevin Nash dressed up as Arn Anderson with the toilet bowl and the neck brace.
He's got the beer the case of beer or whatever, the cooler.
Yep. And then you've got Six dressed up as Nature Boy. Bagwell, like you said, dressed up as Hennig, and Conan is over there, Steve Mongo McMichael.
What did Bagwell say? It would be an honor.
Meanwhile, you got Kevin Nash going, not just any spot, liquor spot, dog spot, but my spot.
Classic promo. And there's some discrepancy. Oh, I love it too. Controversy because the guys from the NWO said they ran it by them beforehand. They ran it by the Four Horsemen beforehand.
I remember hearing about
and
this.
they were fine with it. And then
they were pissed off.
Yeah, they were pissed off, and I guess Flair was in tears, and Arn was pissed off, and who knows what the hell's the truth? Who knows?
Tough shit.
Yeah, it was a great promo. That was great. This is one of the most memorable things that the NWO did.
Exactly, and I don't care if the Horsemen liked it or not. It was awesome. Yeah. I was laughing hysterically watching this and watching these guys as they're dressed up as them, and I mean,
I was dying.
Six with the he had the hose that that would make the water come down, so they act like he's crying as Flair, and the nose too. You got Conan over there with the ponytail. Oh yeah, the constant woo and the dancing.
Yeah, dude, classic.
Man, this was just great. So
DX basically steals this from them and does.
They did a year later with the Nation,
which was funny too. But they got it.
Hey, Rock.
Yeah, it
was awesome. Now the War Games match at Fall Brawl. No shit. If this didn't, I don't know what would. Now, September 14th at Fall Brawl in the main event, it was the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael, and Curt Hennig against the NWO of Kevin Nash, Conan, Six, and Buff Bagwell. Of course, it has to be those four. They're the ones that did the antics. Now, earlier that evening, and if anybody that knows wrestling back then or even now knows when something like this happens, you better watch out because you know what's coming next. Now, early in the evening, Hennig was allegedly attacked by the NWO before the War Games match. So during the match, now he came to ringside with his arm in a sling. The whole thing was a setup as Hennig betrayed the Four Horsemen and joined the NWO that night. He handcuffed the other members of the Horsemen to the cage and then slammed the steel cage door on Flair's head. Oh, damn it. Flair's not getting enough abuse. Getting his ass kicked every week.
Yeah.
Oh, it looked real bad.
Turned on him, joined his NWO. The shame of it is he was better suited in the Horsemen. And that could have continued the feud. Having Hennig in there. You know,
I think he would have worked out better
he would have
there.
worked out. He fit with them. Him with the NWO was just like, okay, another
He's just gonna get lost in the
X.
shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. So
Another mid Carter
right, right.
that is from WWE, so they're like,
They
of
should have kept it. They
course.
should have kept him in there. Should have
I
kept him
agree.
in there.
Now, afterwards, Henning claimed that he had destroyed the Horseman,
Well, I mean,
and as further insult to Flair, Henning claimed to be the wrestler that made Minnesota famous. Oh shit! On September 15th edition of Nitro, Curt Hennig then defeated Steve McMichael and became the United States champion.
mhm.
This was another thing that was completely always ongoing in WCW. As soon as you get there, within a month, regardless of who you are, you're going to be a champion. And the fact that McMichael was the U.S. champion
It was,
tells you that.
yeah. I mean, he had no business having that belt. I mean, it was nice to see Henning get the IC. I'm gonna say IC, the U.S. champion, which is the equivalent of the IC,
Yes.
or at one point it was, because at
Yeah.
some point I think it becomes kind of like, okay,
And I've said this before. I think when Paige, Benoit, and Raven were all fighting for that title, I think they brought the prestige back to that
right,
belt.
yeah, I agree, I agree.
Before that, it was just like, oh, one man gang. Hey, here's your
Yeah.
belt. Oh, this guy. Hey, here's your belt.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
It's the number one contender to the WCW title. No, it's
At
not.
some point,
Not anymore.
that went away. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When Dustin Rhodes held it or Austin held it, they don't get title
Yeah.
shots. So he held the title for the next 3 months, which is actually pretty impressive considering the timeline for a title. Having a title in
Yeah.
WCW was kind of is pretty much less than that.
Mhm.
During that time, though, he successfully defended the title against Ric Flair at Halloween Havoc. And then again at World War III, he defeated Ric Flair once again in a no disqualification match. However, at Starrcade,
Damn it, Flair. Damn.
hey,
Flair was jobbing out,
this makes up for all the times in AWA when Curt
Yeah,
Hennig went for that title
I
and
know.
Flair said no.
It's just that man. They made Flair job out to Hogan, to Macho Man, to Henning. Like he was just a job machine. You know, Bischoff hated him.
Oh, I know that for a
Yeah.
fact. Why Flair kept re-signing and staying, I have no idea. At this point, I would have taken my chances going back to WWE.
Yeah, I don't know if Vince offered him anything at that point. I don't know.
Probably not. I do know, and we've said this, that when he was getting ready to leave, Vince said he would re-sign him, but he would be a mid card. He had nothing
Right.
for him. He was going in a new direction, so he wouldn't be in the main event spot.
Right. Which he still had a lot of gas left in the tank. I mean,
Oh yes, tremendously. Still had a whole lot to offer.
yeah,
Still won the title multiple times, but once the NWO came around, Flair's taking a backseat to everybody, and
pretty
he's
much.
literally he's the match after the cruiserweights, which is wrong,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. However, at Starrcade, Henning lost the United States title to Diamond Dallas Page. Well, he had a good run. In November of '97, Henning was joined by his childhood best friend at this point, Rick Rude, in the NWO. In that infamous,
what a difference a day makes.
A day
Right?
makes,
Yeah.
yes.
Nice, yeah.
Can't believe I started that. I say it all the time.
Right, I know.
We will never
It was
forget
good.
when he showed up on both shows
Right,
same night.
because Raw was pre-taped. Yeah,
Yep.
and Nitro was live. The shame of it is at that point Rick can't wrestle, man. Because I would have loved to see Rude and Perfect
Perfectly
in a
rude.
tag team. Yep. Although,
Never really got it.
yeah, damn it, they couldn't use that name in WCW, but still,
No, they couldn't.
yeah.
I'm telling you what, anybody got the WWE 2K games and they're always Perfect and Rude are always in it. Go ahead and do it.
Yep.
Relive what we never saw.
Yep.
I do. Now, in the beginning of 1998, Henning and Rude began a feud, and again, it's funny, Henning and Rude, considering Rude is just like
He's a manager, like
he's a
enforcer,
manager slash
like,
enforcer. Yeah,
yeah.
not an insurance policy. He don't need one.
No. That was WWF.
Yeah, began a feud with Bret Hart, the British Bulldog, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. That's the only other thing I didn't like is that WCW would automatically go back to old WWF feuds.
Yeah.
And when Bret first got there, it was all the guys. It was Hennig, it was Flair, it was Luger.
Yeah.
All these guys that he would deal with back then. And I'm like, okay, if he's coming in, I want to see him face guys he's never faced before.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, to be fair, I mean, you think they're gonna have great matches, you know, like at the very least. But the Perfect had already lost the stuff physically. He could still wrestle, but he wasn't quite the same.
He
after
wasn't
all those injuries?
1991 Hennig
No,
against
no,
Brett.
no,
No,
no, not at all.
and the same thing is you can say that about Brett because a lot of his soul was taken out
Right, but that was
in
more of
November
a
of
yeah,
'97,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Brett was there. It
He was
just wasn't
frustrated. He
all of
was
yeah.
yeah. He was just yeah.
So Hennig competed in several matches with them throughout the first half of 1998. At Uncensored, Hennig lost to Bret Hart. Go figure. However, at Spring Stampede, Hennig defeated the British Bulldog. The hell you say? He
That's
defeated
interesting though
Jim
too, right? Him versus Bulldog when that was supposed to happen
exactly in
in
'91.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, he defeated Jim the Anvil Neidhart on Thunder in the beginning of March. And then Neidhart would defeat Hennig on both Nitro and WCW Saturday Night later on that month. So it was good. At least Neidhart didn't go there to be
Right.
everybody's whipping boy. And to be unfortunately Bischoff only took them because he got Brett. So it was like, oh, you want to bring them too? All right, come on.
Right. Yeah. Well, got his friends a job.
Yeah, I don't like how they treated the Bulldog when they got him back the second time, considering his first run in WCW was pretty impressive. So I just didn't like how they did him.
I don't know. I think
So
Bulldog also had issues at that point too.
yeah.
He had some issues.
So in April of 1998, Curt Hennig was out due to a knee injury.
Right, and that's when he joins the Wolfpack for 2 seconds, right?
Yeah. During that time, the NWO broke down into two different, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, the Wolfpack and
Him and
Hollywood.
Rude. Him and Rude were Wolfpack, right? For 2 seconds.
It didn't make any sense.
Oh, did it?
You got a
I
fan
knew.
favorite Wolfpack, and you got
Yeah, yeah,
these
yeah,
two guys
yeah.
in there.
I knew. I'm like, this is
They
not
probably
gonna
looked at
last.
each
I mean, it
other
was
going,
cool. It was cool for a second, but I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna
the
last.
two of them looking at each other going, I think we're in the wrong one.
Right, right, yeah, yeah.
Because both Hennig and Rude joined Nash's Wolfpack group, who, like we said, were just fan favorites. However, both men did not seem to fit in, especially when Rude got on the microphone and told people to keep their mouth shut. And the rest of
Yeah.
the guys are looking at him like, dude, we're not that
Yeah,
way anymore.
because Wolfpack was babyface.
Yeah.
They were the kinder, gentler NWO.
June 14th at the Great American Bash, Hennig was scheduled to wrestle Goldberg for the United States Championship. He failed to compete in that match due to injury. Hennig asked Conan to replace him in the match. Conan lost the match, and then afterwards, both Hennig and Rude attacked him, removing themselves from the Wolfpack and
Wolfpack, yeah,
joining NWO
yeah.
Hollywood. Gee.
Swerve, bro, swerve.
But at the same time, NWO Hollywood was something that really it lasted, but it's like I didn't. You don't really see it going anywhere
Right.
in a down the road. Unfortunately, especially when Hogan leaves it. Now it's like
Well, yeah, he wasn't gone too long, but yeah, you're right. You're right.
then we get then we're getting a whole bunch of
Oh,
NWO factions.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. I'm not getting into that. The following month, Goldberg then became WCW champion.
Mhm.
On July 12th at Bash of the Beach, which the match was already signed for them to face each other.
Right,
So
right,
now
right.
this is just Hennig pretty much stepped in shit at this point.
Yeah, he just
He
gets the title
faces
shot.
Goldberg, for the WCW title,
Yeah.
despite his injury, in a losing effort. So now, August 8th at Road Wild, Curt Hennig then participates in an NWO Invitational Battle Royal, which is pretty much the NWO and Goldberg, the match itself didn't make any sense. It had Goldberg, the Giant, Scott Hall, Scott Norton, Conan, Lex Luger, Kevin Nash, and Sting. Okay. Hennig was the fourth wrestler eliminated during the contest. Goldberg speared Hennig, and then the momentum sent him over the top rope, and I remember that it was hysterical. It was kind of like when Vader shoulder blocked Jake the Snake Roberts in the Rumble, and he just kept backing up, and over the top rope.
See ya.
Goldberg, however, he did win the Battle Royal, eliminating the last participant, the Giant, with the jackhammer and a pinfall. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A Battle Royal is over the top rope, right? This is WCW. Rules don't
No,
matter.
it doesn't matter.
And if nobody believes us, watch our reviews on Uncensored 99 and 2000. You'll get the gist. In September of 1998, Hennig began a feud now with Dean Malenko. This I liked because of the two styles of wrestling these two could bring to the ring.
Good matches.
This feud was over his betrayal of the Four Horsemen the previous year. I love how they just wait a year. Well, why not? The Steiners waited 6 months before they fought each other. So what the hell? Yeah. I'm coming after you for what you did 15 years ago.
It's like Jannetty and
Okay.
Sean.
Exactly.
But
Almost
Jannetty
a
got
year later, but
but
yeah,
Jannetty got suspended, so it's a little different.
exactly. On September 13th, at Fall Brawl, Hennig lost to Dean Malenko, unfortunately. After this loss, Hennig was taken off television to recover now from his knee injury,
Mhm.
which he's not getting any time for. Hennig returned at Starrcade in December to help Eric Bischoff beat Ric Flair. Still has that problem with Flair. As we move now into 1999 for Curt Hennig, January 17th, it sold out. Hennig teamed with Barry Windham in a losing effort facing Ric Flair and his son David Flair.
Oh
Oh boy,
Jesus
when they
Christ!
brought him in. At this time, both NWO factions reunited.
Oh yeah, I know.
With
After the finger poke, dude, Doom, and it was the NWO Red and Black, and then there was Elite, and then Elite and
and Hennig was placed in
Team
NWO B team,
B Team. Yeah, imagine that. What an insult.
grouped with consisting of mid card wrestlers within the NWO, which is pretty much all of them. If they tell you, oh, I'm going to put you in this, you might as well just give them the
Yeah,
shirt
just
back and go on your own
yeah, pretty much.
at this point because the NWO B team, wow, those are guys I wouldn't have put in to begin with. So January 25th on Nitro, Hennig, his time in the NWO officially came to an end as he was kicked out of the group after speaking out against the leaders.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was not it wasn't a good night for him. I'm an
I think
idiot.
it was Stevie Ray that
I like,
ratted him out. Was it Stevie Ray that ratted him out?
yeah, and then
Yeah,
that's where that whole
yeah,
Stevie
yeah,
Ray, Vincent garbage for the leadership,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Hogan's
yeah,
playing both sides. Nobody gives
yeah,
a shit.
yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Following his departure from the NWO, Hennig formed a tag team like it got any better from here with Barry Windham and continued his feud with the Four Horsemen.
Mhm.
Why not? Just go back to what you know. They were placed in a tournament for the vacated tag team titles. Vacated was the
Mhm.
multi-time champion in
Yeah.
WCW.
The shame of it at that Wyndham was a great wrestler. He was just broken down at that point physically.
Yeah,
It's just
he really was,
yeah.
unfortunately. So that's where they brought in the other two guys for the faction to kind of help him along. Um, on February 21st at Super Brawl 9, Hennig and Wyndham became the tag team champions as they defeated Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko
Mhm.
in a 2 out of 3 falls match. That was a really good match. However, their title reign was short because it's WCW. On March 14th at Uncensored, which we just covered, they had a rematch with Benoit and Malenko for the tag titles. This match was the Lumberjacks with straps. This is where they just started beating the shit out of each
Right,
other. Like the hell with them,
right.
we're gonna whoop each
Mhm.
other, and then they're all gonna leave. It's
It's just
chaos by
nasty.
'99. And considering the fact that your roster at this point is still
You still got a lot of
is,
talent.
exactly,
Yeah,
you just have nobody lead.
yeah.
You have nobody at the helm of the ship, and it's unfortunate because the talent roster is so
Hmm.
deep, and there's so much that you can do, and we do this. So, in any event, they lost the titles when Arn Anderson hit Hennig with the tire iron. My spot, bitch. The downward spiral continued for Hennig by this point on March 18th on Thunder. Well, if you're on Thunder, that's a downward spiral, period. Curt Hennig wrestled in the main event of the evening against Hollywood Hogan. He lost the match after Horace
Damn
saved
it.
Hogan from a Henningplex.
Damn it.
Like Hogan needed
It's
help
like
from Horace.
9 years later, huh? Right? Whatever it is, when he fought
Yeah.
Hogan as Mr. Perfect.
And unfortunately, it doesn't get any better at this point because around this time now, Curt Hennig finds out Ravishing Rick Rude has
Yeah.
passed, his best
Well,
friend.
his best friend, yeah.
Some idiot with a microphone, and I don't even know this jabroni. I think it was, didn't you,
The
some
internet.
type
It
of
was a
internet show.
WCW internet show that they had. Yeah, he approached him for an interview, and then he asked him about Rude, and it's like he was like kind of caught off guard. He didn't
Yeah, he
expect
wasn't
him.
expecting
He
it,
wasn't expecting it, so you can see how upset he was. And it's legit. It's real. He was talking about how some people didn't show up to Rude's to his funeral.
which is
How
bullshit.
he was upset about that, and then he flipped kind of like not that he flipped out on the guy, but he's like
Well, the guy asked him, "How do
next
you
time you
feel?"
let me know. Yeah, next time you let me know if you're gonna ask me a question or something like that. And he hits him with the newspaper, like he just taps him on
Yeah.
the chest. So you could tell he was upset. He was
Yeah,
upset.
because usually they'll go over, okay, this is
Right,
what
right,
we're going to
right, right.
cover.
So, yeah.
You're going to ask the guy how he feels about his best friend
Right, right, right.
passing away. I
Mhm.
mean, you're lucky you didn't get a chair over your head.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could see
You could see.
in Kurt's eyes,
Hmm.
like a part of him died right
Yeah.
there. I
Hmm.
mean, and the fact that a lot of guys, and I know some of the names that didn't show up, I think that was wrong, 100% wrong. So, in any event, following that now, in May of 1999, Henning formed a new faction called the West
West.
Texas
Yeah,
Rednecks.
yeah.
Considering the fact you're not from Texas, what the hell?
This was fun though.
Only one
This was
part of
fun.
it was
Well, the song "Rap is
the
Crap."
rap is
It
crap.
was catchy, man. That was a catchy song. Yeah,
Rap
yeah.
is crap.
And it charted too. Apparently, it charted. So people liked it. This is the most unfortunately. This is the most memorable thing that he did in WCW.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
pitiful to think, considering the type of guy that Curt
Right, right.
Hennig is. Yeah. But unfortunately, at this time, anybody that goes there is they're going to be overshadowed by the NWO,
Well, no,
regardless.
well, when he went at the time that he went, yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about '97, like around
Hmm.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now the NWO's it's over at this point.
By
'99.
this point, you're just
Right.
overshadowed
Yeah.
by the
Just
millionaires who
dog.
won't
Yeah.
give up the spot.
Yeah.
Not just any spot, their spot.
Yeah.
The group consisted of Barry Windham, his brother Kendall Windham, and Bobby Duncombe Jr.
Mhm.
Not a bad group of
No, not at
guys.
all.
Just again, nobody at the helm to properly direction these guys in any group, any faction that they came up with from here on out. There was no direction, and you got a guy writing that's getting paid $500,000 who actually asks you, does it really have to make sense?
Mhm.
If your writer is going to tell you that, you need
Yeah.
a new writer.
Yeah, I agree.
So they presented themselves as Southern country musicians. They began feuding with rapper Master P's No Limit Soldiers and recorded the country song that you love so much,
Rap is
Rap is
crap. Yeah.
Crap. It was catchy. I
It
liked
was
it.
always catchy.
On June 13th at the Great American Bash, Hennig and Duncombe lost to Conan and Rey Mysterio of the No Limit Soldiers. 1 month later, on July 11th at the Bash at the Beach, the West Texas Rednecks lost to the Soldiers in an 8-man elimination tag team match. It was Hennig, the Wyndhams, and Bobby Duncombe Jr. against Conan, Rey Mysterio, Swole, and Brad Armstrong. Who in that group does not belong? All right, then. Rey Mysterio and Swole were actually the sole survivors of this. And the other thing about with this group, it's also they weren't really given a chance to make it work because they weren't even together all that long. And that's the other unfortunate thing.
Yeah, I agree.
The feud between the two teams was quickly dropped because the West Texas Rednecks were intended to be the villains in this. However,
Right, they
fans
were
were
getting
cheering
over.
for them, yeah,
They were
because
over.
of the song.
Yeah.
The No Limit Soldiers were coming off as heels,
Right, when they
and
was
they're
supposed
cheering
to
for
be,
Hennig.
yeah.
Meanwhile, they needed it the other way around. Well,
Right,
okay,
right.
if the fans were cheering for them, why not just run with that then
Yeah, well.
until the feud is over,
Right, right.
and then have them do something that would make them heels again? I don't understand it. You had something working, but because it's not 100% in your favor, we'll just squash the whole thing. Okay. August 14th at Road Wild, the Rednecks made their final pay-per-view appearance. Hennig, Wyndham, and Duncombe lost to the Revolution, which consisted of Shane Douglas, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko. I like that group. Actually, I like Shane Douglas at this point because he had the look to be in the main event. They just didn't put him there. After the West Texas Rednecks disbanded, after they were together for so many years, Hennig embarked on a new storyline in which he stated that he was following orders from the powers that be.
Oh, Jesus.
Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara.
Yeah.
Or Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Vampiro! Vampiro! I wanted to smack. I swear to God, I wanted to go to a Nitro event just to slap the shit out of Ed Ferrara for constantly making fun of Jim Ross.
Okay, that was wrong.
That was 100% unethical.
The Bell's palsy thing was over the line. That was when he went over
he
the
was
line.
just being a complete jackass.
Yeah, I agree.
So they informed Hennig that if he lost any match by pinfall, he must retire. Vince, you started off bad. That's all I'm going to say. Hennig participated in a tournament now to crown a new WCW champion. This was around that whole time that Hogan got squashed by Sting. By this point, it's just like throw shit up against the wall, see what sticks, because it didn't make any sense anymore. Now he defeated Disco Inferno in the first round, but lost to Jeff Jarrett by countout in the second
Oh
round.
Lord, he broke 6,000 guitars, never drew a dime. In no universe should he go over on Curt Hennig. In no universe. But
Forgot the
yeah,
rest of it.
that was in the book. Oh yeah, when Jeff Jarrett came out, you hear a rat piss on cotton.
And I forgot that Jeff Jarrett was part of this bio. Sorry, Curt. I didn't mean
Mm.
to mess up your bio here by
Lord
sticking
Jesus,
that name in here, but
Lord Jesus.
no, there's no way in hell Jarrett ever
No.
gets over on Hennig anywhere. I'm sorry. Even if you do best intercontinental champions ever, and these two happen to be in the bracket together, Hennig beats him. So now Bret Hart won the tournament and the title at Mayhem, defeating Chris Benoit. That was to me one of the best, and I've said this, best pay-per-views of that year. It seemed
Which is not
everything
saying
they
much. Which is not saying much, but
no, but if you go and look at the card that they
no,
put
I know.
together that night, it was pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I agree. I agree.
And Bret beating Benoit in the main event
Mhm.
for the title, it was pretty good. Now on November 21st at Mayhem, the same night that Bret wins the title, Curt Hennig loses to Buff Bagwell in a loser must retire match. I don't see him losing to Buff Bagwell either, but that's just me. A month later, however, Hennig was reinstated. Your loser
First,
must retire, just not for
well,
long.
you know how it goes. You know how it goes. But retirement match, career match. These
Oh wait, I got it. Loser must take a 4-week vacation. There we go.
pretty much. I mean, there was nothing for him to do anyway.
No, not really. He was reinstated by the powers that be, and he joined forces with Creative Control, which were the Harris brothers, DOA, Blue Brothers, whatever you want to call them. December 19th at Starrcade, Curt Hennig teamed with Creative Control, and he defeated Harlem Heat and Midnight. Not saying much either. Now, as this rolls into 2000, and I'm surprised at this point that Curt Hennig is even still here.
Right, seriously. I didn't even remember him being around.
It wasn't for long. It
Okay.
was for maybe the first quarter of 2000, and I was a he made sporadic appearances over the next few months in WCW. Another feud with Ric Flair
Oh, Jesus.
saw himself and Hulk Hogan teaming together
Oh my God.
on the March
That's
13th
right.
edition of
Yeah.
Nitro.
Yeah. They did team up.
That to me was a holy shit.
Yeah.
Never thought you'd
Can you
see
imagine?
the two of them tagging
Yeah.
together. Well, I never thought I'd see Hogan and Sid together again, and they
Right.
redid Saturday
But that
Night
didn't
Main
last.
Event all over again. I mean, they literally redid
Yeah.
the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah, Hogan deserved it.
not getting an argument from me. Hogan and Hennig teamed together against Ric Flair and Lex Luger, but in a losing effort. That's bull too. But Flair got over on Hogan, so it's not really, it's not totally bad. On April 10th on Nitro, Hennig lost the semifinal match in the WCW title tournament once again to Jeff Jarrett. Again, this is bull.
I don't even need to say it. You guys know.
We've already covered it.
Yeah.
Remember, Jarrett went back because Vince Russo told him, hey, we're going to name you the chosen one. Jim Ross doesn't see you as a champion. I do. And here's another thing. The fact that he calls Jarrett the chosen one and brings him back, it's slim pickings at this point to bring anybody into WCW because there's nobody left. So calling him the chosen one, I just think there was a lack of options.
I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it.
I know you don't. Moving on. Shortly after, he entered a feud with Sean Stasiak, to talk about the bottom of the barrel, who referred to himself as the perfect one, by the way. Well, they also eventually had a faction called, and a tag team called the Perfect Event, which pissed me off too. Now, calling himself the Perfect One was obviously a ripoff of Hennig's Mr. Perfect character, and even using the entrance music that sounded like Mr. Perfect's theme. And I do remember Stasiak doing that, and I'm like, of all the people, this piece of shit gets it? Does anybody remember that he was meat? in
Oh, Jesus
WWE before
Christ.
this,
Nate. Oh, man.
or the fact that he is a disgrace to his father, who is a former WWE champion. I mean, this kid couldn't wrestle for shit. And he was part of the invasion, too.
Oh,
Go
legit.
figure. Yeah, exactly. Now, and to make matters even worse, on May 7th at Slamboree, Hennig loses to Stasiak.
I've been out.
Now, his last televised match was against Chris Harris on the May 20th episode of Worldwide, which Hennig did win.
Oh, man.
But the fact that it's worldwide, yeah, exactly. Hennig left WCW after his contract expired in the summer of 2000. Thank the Lord. Curt wrestled for numerous independent promotions for the rest of 2000 and 2001 before returning ultimately to the WWE in January of 2002. I would have even tried to get back right after my contract expired, but
I mean, who knows?
Who knows if there was a non-compete clauses did still exist?
Or maybe there was no interest. Who knows? I'm not. I don't know.
There is that possibility too.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
we'll get into that WWF thing.
in the next, but I mean, to treat Curt like this and to lose to a guy like Stasiak.
Yeah, at the end.
To an up-and-coming group of jabronis, which included Sean O'Haire, Mark Jindrak, and those were the two best. But then you got a guy like Mike Sanders. You got Johnny the Bull. You got Sean Stasiak.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Chuck Palumbo. I mean, good God, man.
His run was his WCW run was disappointing.
The U.S. title was the peak of it.
Peak, yeah.
Unfortunately,
it was good to see him. At least we got to see him wrestle for a few more years, at least. But he got lost in the shuffle, like you mentioned. He just got lost in the shuffle, and it's just without the Mr.Perfect moniker too, it hurt. It hurt him, So, but it was good to see him in some good matches, and just see him.
Again, we got to see him again against Bret Hart. He did have Flair. He did have a couple of WCW Saturday Night matches against Booker T.
Got a title shot.
Got a title shot that just fell in his lap when Goldberg beat Hogan. Teamed with Hogan, which is a shock to the world. Did wrestle Lex Luger on one or a couple of occasions. So I mean, he was able to do what he loved, despite the fact that he couldn't continue doing that in WWE. I would have loved to see him continue in WWE, but unfortunately, what happened. Yeah. But man, to go out like this, though, that's the only thing I can seem to focus on right now is his run in 2000. You didn't even give his faction a chance.
At that point, nobody was even watching WCW, really. So anyway, so it's just
by this point, the ratings wars is at a 6.4 for Raw to a 2.8 for Nitro, and I'm being generous with the 2.8.
So the ship was sunk. But either way, he had a great career, overall. So,
and was pretty impressive when he came back for the short time in WWE, and we'll get to that in the next episode when he returned at the Rumble in 2002.
All right, well, that's a review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Take care.